Some wounds don't scream, they whisper. They echo in silence, in the way you hold your breath before speaking, in the way you apologize just for existing, in the way you shrink around someone who smiles at you with empty eyes. You've been here before, haven't you? That slow, unraveling moment when you finally saw behind the mask, when the charm cracked and the coldness crept in, when the person who once made you feel chosen began making you feel small. If you've ever loved someone who only loved the way you admired them, if you've ever been pulled close just to be dropped again, if you've ever wondered if you were the problem, this is for you, because narcissists don't shatter quietly. When they feel exposed, when their control slips, they don't retreat, they attack. And they play games that make you question your sanity, your memory, even your worth. But here's the thing no one tells you. The more they fear being seen for who they are, the more dangerous they become. This isn't a story about them. This is a remembering of you, of your clarity, of the way your nervous system never lied, of the moments your body knew, even when your mind was still trying to keep the peace. We're going to talk about 5 cruel games narcissists play when they feel exposed. Not from a textbook, not from a theory, but from the ache of truth, from what it feels like when love turns into a war zone and you're still standing in the rubble, wondering if it was ever real. So breathe. Not everything needs to be fixed right now. You're not broken, you're not alone, and no, you're not crazy. They just made you feel that way. If you're here, it means something inside you is waking up. It's remembering what you deserve, and it's time. Take a second if this already speaks to something you felt but never had words for. Click that subscribe button. Like the video, not because you owe it to me, but because the more we speak this truth, the more someone else finds their way out. Now, let's begin. Begins the moment they feel you've seen too much. When you stop nodding on cue. When you question the version of reality they've built. It's subtle at first. You'll notice how suddenly they begin rewriting the past, not just to protect themselves, but to erase your memory of it. They'll say you misunderstood, that it wasn't what you think, that you're too sensitive. And in those moments, reality starts to slip like sand through your fingers. This is not forgetfulness. This is intentional. Gaslighting isn't just about lying. It's about training you not to trust yourself. They blur the edges of truth until you're left apologizing for what hurt you. You start replaying conversations in your head like crime scenes. You check your messages to make sure you weren't wrong. You find yourself defending them to your own intuition. It's not just cruel, it's calculated. Because the moment you doubt your memory, they become the author of it. And the pain of this game isn't just in the confusion, it's in the loneliness. The crushing isolation of knowing something is off, but being too afraid to say it out loud. If you've ever walked into a room and felt the air shift, if you've ever left a conversation feeling small but not knowing why, if you've ever started to explain your pain and ended up comforting them, you know this game. You weren't wrong. You weren't dramatic. You were being rewritten. And what makes it even more vicious, they don't stop at your memory. They rewrite your intention. Suddenly, you're the one who's difficult. You're the one who's starting drama. You're the reason everything is falling apart. And because you loved them, you believed it. You bent yourself to fit their version of you, and it hurt. Because somewhere deep inside, you knew you were betraying yourself just to keep their love. Let that land. You betrayed yourself just to keep their love. That's what this game does. It makes you choose between their approval and your truth. And every time you choose them, you lose a piece of yourself. But even if you gave away every piece, you can take them back. You are not the story they told. You are the one who survived it. Now comes the second game. The more you begin to pull away emotionally, mentally, even just energetically, they feel it. They sense the shift. And that's when the punishment begins. Silent treatment, cold distance, sudden withdrawal of affection. Not because they're processing or setting a boundary, but because they want you to feel abandoned. This game is cruel because it preys on your deepest need. Connection. It punishes your independence. It teaches you that your honesty comes with a price. You start tiptoeing. You start editing your words. You start shrinking your truth just to keep them from disappearing again. And it works. They pull away, and you chase. They go cold, and you burn trying to warm them. But here's what they don't expect. The silence eventually teaches you something too. It shows you what life feels like without their noise. It shows you the peace that waits outside their chaos. It shows you that maybe, just maybe, you can survive without their version of love. And that scares them more than anything, because if you stop needing them to come back, they lose control. So the third game begins. A whiplash, a sudden swing from cruelty to kindness, from distance to intimacy, from silence to, I miss you so much. It's not an apology, it's bait. They show up with the same charm that once disarmed you. The inside jokes, the late night calls, the warmth you once craved, and for a moment, you breathe. For a moment you believe, maybe this time, maybe they finally see you. But it's not about seeing you, it's about reeling you back in. This is the cycle. Wound, withdraw, woo. It's not love, it's a pattern, a trap dressed in affection. And yet, it works. Because you remember the version of them that once made you feel seen, not realizing it was always a mask. So you forgive. You open your heart again. You soften, and that's when the next game begins. The fourth game cuts deeper than all the rest, because it targets your goodness. It turns your love against you. When a narcissist feels exposed and the mask starts to slip, they don't just try to confuse you or isolate you. They start a new game, making you the villain. They rewrite the entire relationship with you as the manipulator, the abuser, the cold one, the reason everything broke. It doesn't matter how much you gave, how many times you bit your tongue, how often you stayed when you wanted to run. They take your kindness and twist it into control. Your boundaries become abandonment. Your silence becomes cruelty. Your emotions become too much. And the worst part, they don't just do this in private. They start planting seeds in others. Little stories, half-truths, designed to paint themselves as the misunderstood hero, and you as the unstable one. This game isn't about convincing you anymore. It's about controlling the narrative. They know you're starting to see the truth, so they scramble to get ahead of it. They rush to reframe the story before you can speak it. You become the person who was always angry, or hard to love, or too intense. And in their version of events, they were just trying to help you. They were patient. They tried everything. It's not just betrayal, it's character assassination. And it leaves you not only heartbroken, but invisible. Because suddenly, the people you thought knew you look at you like a stranger. They believe the version of you that bleeds from someone else's fear. And you start to wonder if everyone else believes them. Maybe they're right. But hear this, they are not right. They are just louder. Louder doesn't mean honest. Confident doesn't mean kind. And a story told often isn't always the truth. You don't have to defend yourself to people who never asked what really happened. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone who sees you only through their eyes. Your truth is yours. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is live it quietly. There's one more game they play, the cruelest of them all. The one that makes you question not just your relationship, but your value as a human being. It happens after they've discarded you, or after you finally walked away. When they sense they've lost their grip, they move on. Fast, loud, public. Suddenly, they're in a new relationship, posting pictures, writing captions filled with the very words they never gave you, laughing in the arms of someone new, as if the wreckage they left behind was just a chapter they grew from. And you're left watching it all unfold like some kind of cruel performance. This is not love. This is not healing. This is revenge. They want you to see. They want you to compare, to question your worth, to wonder if maybe you were the problem all along. Because if they can be happy with someone else, then surely it must have been you, right? No. That performance isn't about love. It's about power. It's a mask on a new face, a recycled act for a new audience. And what you're grieving, it's not the real them. It's the illusion they showed you in the beginning, the version they used to hook you. But what they're doing now, that's who they really are. Not the smiling face in the photo, but the person who moved on without closure, who replaced intimacy with spectacle, who used someone else's heart as a weapon. That's not love. That's a show. And maybe you can't unsee what they did. Maybe the pain still visits you in quiet moments. Maybe it still wakes you up at night, but you're not in the game anymore. You walked away. You're free now. And freedom doesn't always feel good at first. Sometimes, it feels like loneliness, like silence, like grief, but stay with it. That silence you're afraid of, it's where you'll finally hear your own voice again. And when you do hear your voice, that quiet, steady voice underneath all the noise they left behind, it won't sound like anger. It won't even sound like pain. It will sound like clarity. Clarity is not loud. It doesn't shout to be heard. It whispers. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. The truth is, the end of a relationship with a narcissist doesn't feel like freedom at first. It feels like withdrawal, because what they gave you wasn't love, it was a chemical, a high, a hit of being seen, then unseen, then seen again, over and over, until your nervous system forgot what peace felt like. That's what makes these games so cruel. Not just that they twist you, but that they make you twist yourself. You learn to abandon yourself before they can. You try to stay one step ahead of the pain. You become small enough to be safe, quiet enough to be loved, soft enough to be chosen. But it was never about how good you were. It was about how controllable you became. And now you've stopped playing. That's why they panic. That's why they spiral. That's why they move on fast, speak louder, rewrite everything. Because nothing terrifies someone like that more than your peace. Your quiet, unapologetic peace. The kind that doesn't chase, the kind that doesn't respond to every bait, the kind that no longer needs to be understood by those who never saw you clearly in the first place. If you're still healing, still aching from the whiplash of it all, still trying to make sense of what happened and why it broke you so completely, I want you to know this. It didn't break you, it revealed you. It revealed the parts of you that were already bleeding. The childhood wounds that taught you love means proving that affection is earned, that your needs make you a burden, that your voice isn't safe, and the narcissist didn't create that. They just found it and used it. That's the part that hurts the most, isn't it? They knew where your soft spots were. They learned your insecurities. They memorized the way you longed to be chosen, and they offered just enough to keep you starving. But here's the truth. They chose you not because you were weak, but because you were deep. Because you loved without calculation. Because you stayed when others would have run. Because you felt, and they could not. Your pain does not make you broken. Your empathy does not make you naive. Your longing does not make you unlovable. It makes you real. And real love? It doesn't play games. It doesn't punish. It doesn't disappear when you need it most. It doesn't humiliate you in public while holding your hand in private. Real love stays, not in toxicity, but in truth. So no matter how much they try to make you doubt it, no matter how many games they played, or how convincingly they wore the mask, you were not crazy. You were not toxic. You were not too much. You were just with someone who was too empty to hold what you offered. And now that you're out, you get to ask a better question. Not, why didn't they love me the way I needed? But why did I forget how to love myself in the process? That's where healing begins. Not in understanding them, but in remembering you. And maybe that starts today, right here, with this truth, spoken just for you because I know how it feels to sit in the dark wondering if any of it was real. It was real. You were real. And what comes next? That's yours to write. You won't always feel this heavy. One day, the weight will lift not all at once. Not in some dramatic epiphany, but gently, quietly, almost without you noticing. You'll wake up and realize you didn't check their page. You'll hear a song that used to destroy you, and this time it won't. You'll laugh, truly laugh, and it won't be followed by guilt or fear. You'll speak your mind and your hands won't shake. That's not forgetting, that's healing. Healing is not the absence of pain. It's the return of you, your voice, your rhythm, your fire, your softness. They tried to take that from you. They wanted your silence, your loyalty to their story, your permanent confusion, but you chose to remember yourself instead. That's rare. That's powerful. That's why you made it here. If no one's told you lately, I'm proud of you, not for being perfect, not for always knowing what to do, but for surviving what was designed to break you and still having a heart that wants to love again. You're allowed to rest now. You don't need to keep performing worthiness. You don't need to explain why you stayed, or why it took so long to leave, or why some days you still miss them, even knowing everything you know now. That's not weakness. That's humanity. You loved, you gave, you hoped. That's something to honor, not hide. And if someone ever tells you that you're too sensitive, too emotional, too complicated, smile, because those are just symptoms of depth, and not everyone can swim where you do, but someone will. And more importantly, you will. You'll sit with yourself and see your own reflection clearly, not through their distortion, not through their projections, just you, raw, whole, awake. And when that day comes, you won't want revenge. You won't need validation. You won't care who believes their version of you, because you'll finally believe your own. If this spoke to something in you, something that didn't have words until now, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Not for algorithms or numbers, but because truth travels in whispers, and you never know who's still trapped in silence. You're not alone anymore. You never were. And this was never about exposing them. It was always about freeing you.